Recording.
You can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So hi, my name is Omar Cataldo. This is my senior thesis presentation. Last summer, I was invited to work on the SHORE program and work on the Storyteller application. Storyteller is a program that allows developers to record and recreate the development process for others to see in what are called playbacks. It has primarily been used as a classroom teaching aid in computer science classrooms, but the future possibilities extend far beyond that. After my work in the SHORE program ended, I was invited to continue working on the Storyteller project as my senior thesis, and I accepted. This makes my thesis a little unusual compared to most, in that instead of designing and creating my own new project, I'm working on an existing piece of software. I was asked to choose several standalone items from a list of phase 2 features to create for my project. Each of these features would be more complicated than anything I had worked on during the course of the summer program. Before last summer, I had never worked with JavaScript, HTML, or CSS at all. And while working on SHORE, I spent a lot of time teaching myself how to use these languages. My goal with this thesis project were to become much more skilled with HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, gain confidence and experience in joining an existing project, becoming familiar with the software and adding my contribution to it, and gain experience working directly with an actual customer. Here's what the original Storyteller looked like when I first joined the project. I'm sure many of you have seen this version, and if you have, you know it's slow, cumbersome, and visually dated. I would like to take this opportunity to explain a few of the features and some of the terminology of the project. On the left-hand side are what we call comments. They're a specific point in the playback where a developer has chosen to highlight and discuss the current state of the code. Clicking a comment will highlight any relevant code to make clear to the user what the developer is currently referring to in the comment. On the right-hand side of the playback are the playback controls and the code window. The code window will display every character that was entered or deleted during the code writing process. Using the controls, a user can move forward and backwards to the playback, comment by comment, or character by character. This program allows the user to learn the process and the software at their own pace. After all the work during the SHORE program, the program now looks nothing like it did at this point. Every feature in this presentation beyond this point was envisioned by the customer, but created solely by me. The many changes to the back and front end of Storyteller left all playbacks from the previous versions incompatible with any new versions. This necessitated a converter program to automate the transition of the old playbacks into the new format. The converter I wrote is written in Node.js and is a completely standalone program. Without any user interaction, the converter will format any playback in the old format to a fully functioning playback in the new format. Here's an example of the conversion process. So I'm starting with a downloaded version of the playback we just saw in the previous video in the old format. After I run the converter, a new folder will be created holding that same playback, now in the new format. So I'm just going to open up that converted playback. Okay, so you can see all the same comments and code from the old playback, now here in the newer style. Also, all the controls work appropriately as well. Early on and throughout the entire project, I was focused on the user experience that encompasses not only the visual design and layout of the project, but also on any functionality the user will experience. Before starting my thesis and a demo of the old version to some professors, it was determined that we would need a complete dark mode redesign, and so that was one of the first major changes to the UI. Here you can see the dark mode redesign. As neither I nor the customer are very artistically inclined, any and all design decisions took many meetings and revisions, as well as continually asking outsiders for their opinions. Blog mode is an entirely new way to view the playback. It was designed to resemble popular blog and social media websites. Instead of a single code window showing every written character, each comment will, by default, display only lines of code where a highlight was made by the developer, meaning a blog post will have only a small snippet of code directly relevant to it in the comment text. Blog mode is automatically generated from the existing playback, giving the developer the option of being completely hands-off during its creation. However, the developer also has complete control over how much or how little of the original code is relevant to a particular comment. For the user of Storyteller, blog mode allows them to not see every character as it was originally entered, and instead focus only on the highlights. The user will at any point have the option of viewing the playback in either the original mode or in this new one. So to get to blog mode, you click on this button up here. And this is blog mode. And since none of the original comments had any selected code, there are no code snippets being displayed right now, only the comment text and the media. I can edit any comment and choose to highlight relevant code that will then be automatically included on blog post. So I'm going to edit this comment and I'm going to pick some relevant lines of code, pick these top two, and I'll update the comment. As you can see, that selection is now attached to that comment right here. And it's also attached to the blog post. Here's an example of creating a new comment. So I'm going to select this line of code right here, and I'm going to give the comment some text, just explaining what this line of code is doing. Here's where a developer can choose what extra code besides the highlighted code is also relevant and should be displayed in blog mode. Anything within these green highlights will also be shown along with the highlighted section of code. So I'm just going to keep these C outs highlighted, and I'm going to add this comment. So now in code view, you can see that that highlighted section hasn't changed at all. But if we go to blog mode, you can see the extra 3 lines of code that we had selected earlier, with that highlighted code keeping its highlight. These additional lines help to give the user of the playback more context about that highlighted bit of code. Another feature of this mode is that when switching between code mode and blog mode, the same comment will remain scrolled to in both. So here we're at the top of blog mode. And switching back to code view, you see we're still at the top. Scrolling to the bottom of code view, and switching back to blog mode, you see we're at the bottom of blog mode now. As the user chooses to go back and forth between the two modes, they won't be left confused as they try to pick up where they left off in the other mode. After speaking with the customer, he decided to implement a feature where the blog mode highlight range would also be visible in code view. So I'm going to recreate that comment I just made in the exact same way. I'm going to give it the same highlighted code, same extra lines for blog mode. And the same comment text. And as you can see, that same code is highlighted, but now there are these 2 extra lines with this soft white highlight. This serves to quickly bring the user's attention to the area of code relevant to the comment that they are currently viewing. With the comment types and tags feature, each comment can be assigned 1 or many descriptive tags chosen by the developer. These tags work a bit like hashtags on Twitter to allow comments to be grouped by comment similarities. The developer can select a tag from a drop-down list of permanent tags and tags that exist in other comments, or they can add their own custom tag. So this is the drop-down menu. These are the available tags right now for this comment. As I add them from the drop-down menu to the comment, they're removed from the drop-down menu and added to the comment. And likewise, as I remove them from the comment, they're re-added to the drop-down menu as selectable options. So I'm gonna make this into an actual comment. I'm gonna give it some comment text and a custom tag. I'm gonna give it C out since that seems to be relevant to the code. And as you can see, that tag is now part of this comment. And if I go back into that comment after confirming it, you can see that the tag is still there. Also, going into another comment, you can see that that custom tag we made is now an option for this tag, for this comment, allowing for easy grouping of comment similarities by tags. The search feature allows the user of Storyteller to search for comments by one of 3 characteristics: text that appears in the comment body, highlighted code, and comment tags. A search query can search any individual characteristic or all at once via drop-down selection menu. The default is to search all at once. So you get to the search feature up here in this tab. So this drop-down menu is how I would filter what to search by. Right now it's on all, which is the default. I'm going to search the word code. So any of these results has the word code in either the comment text, the comment tags, or the highlighted code. But I'm gonna do another search for see out. But now I'm gonna filter. So these will only be comment tags, or comments where the word see out appears in the tags. These will be where they appear in the comment text. And these will be where it appears in the highlighted code. The developer of the playback does not need to do anything extra for this feature, as the software will automatically create all search functionality. And all search result comments maintain all functionality of a normal comment to allow users to see the comment with full highlights. The search feature allows the user to quickly find any comments that are of interest instead of hunting through the entire playback for specific places. The question and answer comment feature allows the creator of a playback to turn any comment into a question comment. Question comments maintain the normal area for comment text, but are also given an additional question field to be asked to the user of the playback. So I'm going to edit this comment here, and I'm going to turn it into a question comment. And you do that by clicking this button down here, add a question. And I'm going to select this line as the line of code I want to ask the question about. I'm going to ask, what will this print? I'm going to give it some extra answers because I didn't think 2 was enough. And I'm going to fill in each of the 4 empty answer fields with 3 wrong and 1 correct answer. And then I'm going to select the correct answer and update the comment. To the user of the playback, nothing will have changed except the question comments will have an added question and multiple selectable choices. As they choose and confirm an answer, they will receive immediate feedback on whether their answer was correct, as well as a running sum of how many answers they've gotten right against how many they've attempted. These question and answers are also consistent between the 2 modes. In getting a wrong answer, you get another chance if you press the clear answer button and try again. This feature allows the user to test their understanding of a concept before moving on to the next one. All throughout my thesis was the ongoing finding and fixing of bugs, and there were lots. The customer, users we asked to try the software, and I would discover new bugs that would be added to a list, and depending on their severity, I would hunt and eliminate the bugs as quickly as possible. Often adding a new feature would introduce bugs in another feature that would not be immediately noticed. These are sometimes the most difficult to solve. The bug fixes have greatly improved the usability of the software. And those are all the features that I've implemented. So what I have learned. This project has been a huge learning experience for me. I've learned how to work in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I've learned how to use new APIs like Node.js and the Ace editor. I've learned what it's like to work with an actual customer on an actual product with required tasks and hard timelines. Most importantly, though, I've learned that joining an existing project and getting up to speed and being able to contribute in a meaningful way is not as intimidating as I previously had thought. I've gained a ton of confidence in my ability to adapt to a new working environment and in my ability to learn quickly by both asking questions and teaching myself. My brain feels rewired from student mode into an actual developer mode. I feel myself going about solving problems in a much more mature way. I've gained a tremendous amount of experience from this project, and I come away from this semester as a much more confident and skilled programmer than when I went into it. Before this opportunity, the thought of joining a team of developers and being able to contribute seemed daunting and far-fetched and brought with it feelings of dread. But now, as I prepare to enter the programming workforce, I do so with a sense of excitement and hope. I can't thank Professor Mahoney enough for giving me this opportunity. I hope I didn't let him down. I also want to thank him and Professor Kavalovitz for teaching me what I need to be successful and for supporting me along the way. Without their extreme patience, when I would show up to their office hours a few times every week, I would probably be a lumberjack somewhere in the woods by now, instead of the programmer in the woods I'm hopefully about to be. And to everyone who isn't quite where I am right now, I just want to say, use these two professors. They really seem to mean it when they say they're genuinely interested in us doing well. Make them prove it to you like they proved it to me. And if you do end up annoying them, well, that's fine. You'll be graduating before you know it. Any questions?
Questions from the floor?
What would you say was your favorite feature to implement?
My favorite feature. I like them all. I like the search functionality because, like, I've used this program in classes, including this semester, and to me, I just find it really useful to just search for something I'm having problems with and seeing where it appears in the playback and having the immediate access to it instead of searching for it. So I like that one just because it's the most useful for me.
So Omar, inspired by the practice sessions with you over the last 2 days, I started to look into the ACE editor, and I noticed that it has the ability to emulate a number of editors. Is there any interaction between which editor it is emulating and Storyteller?
In terms of like highlight or context?
Yeah, for example, if I like to use VI mode in the ACE editor, does that break Storyteller? Are there any assumptions between the activity of the editor itself and the event system for registering what's going on inside Storyteller?
No, any interaction with the ACE editor is completely, you don't have any access to that as a developer. But the ACE editor, what it does do is it does automatic syntax highlighting for whatever language you're using. But that's as much as you have control over as a Storyteller user. Did I answer that question?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Was there
you said that you go ahead.
Was there any feature that you tried to implement but couldn't, or you couldn't implement it the way that you wanted to in the first place?
Yeah, there was a feature on the list to have automatic, where with a tag feature you could add git commit, something like that, and then the program would go through every comment, find any tag that had git commit on it, and then automatically commit that to GitHub. But for some reason I couldn't get that working, and I was going to try an alternate method after I had kind of moved on, but I ran out of time. So that was the one feature that it was on the list that didn't get done.
So I've had some difficulty interfacing with Git myself. What programs, or did you use an API? What kind of method were you trying to use to interface with the Git itself?
I was using the simple Git API in JavaScript.
Okay.
I don't know if you've used that.
I'm currently using a C++ API for Git.
Okay.
So you said that you asked for other people's opinions for how it looked, and I was wondering if you actually did take any suggestions from other people, and what were they?
Yeah, well, blog mode, or not blog mode, dark mode was a suggestion that I never would have thought of, and it didn't seem like Professor Mahoney had thought of either, or maybe we had, and it just didn't seem as important as one of the meetings led us to believe it was. In terms of, well, I don't know, it's nothing really big that I could point to and say this was asked of by somebody else. It's just a lot of people looking at it and saying like, it looks weird. I guess something looks wrong about it. Maybe try something else. And I try something else until they say it looks better. And I ask Professor Mahoney if he likes it, or he does the same with me. So yeah, it was never like a list of new UI design decisions to implement. It was just kind of trial and error by asking people.
Okay. And was that experience, was there any frustrations in having to work with that? And did it feel frivolous in some sense with looking for the new designs?
Well, yeah, to me, it was nothing but frustrating. Like, because just because 1 or 2 people like it doesn't mean that 20 people will like it. So it's always kind of, you're trying to walk this path of pleasing as many people as possible. But like, I have no real artistic sense. So like, I have no idea what looks good when I look at something, and I get used to the way things look currently. And then as they change, to me, they look wrong. And so I was always listening to people who were telling me ways to make it look better, but making it look wrong to me. So that was always kind of frustrating, just because I get used to it. Did it feel frivolous? No, it is important to have it look and respond well. But it seems to me like I'd rather be working on some back end piece of code instead of changing a color or moving a button or something like that. But that's just me personally, I guess.
Yeah.
That means you learned something important about how you like to see your future shape up.
Yeah, I hope to not be moving buttons all day.
I'm kind of in the same button as you right now, Omar. I was wondering, when you had setbacks, what was it more of like functionality setbacks, or was it like CSS related setbacks, or like how did those look?
CSS was, yeah, like just tweaking everything in CSS took me a long time I'm still not good at it, but CSS was hard for me
I
because
feel your pain.
yeah, like just last night I was working on this, and I learned something new about, like, if you put a space in a certain way, it tells CSS. Anyway, so yeah, CSS is real. It was a big source of frustration for me, and there was a lot of setbacks. Was just trying to get the visual aspect to not clash, not to like step on itself, I guess, where things are not interacting with each other the right way.
So what's on the horizon for you, Omar?
Well, tomorrow, I mean, in terms of my life, or tomorrow I'm taking a road trip down south to look at houses for a week. So
In the woods?
in the woods, every one of them. With high-speed internet, hopefully.
Yep. Well, when you go, you're going to be missed.
We'll miss it. I'll miss Carthage as well.
Yep. Other questions? Okay, everybody turn on your cameras if you're willing, and give Omar a round of applause. Good job.
Thank you.
And we will confer amongst our professorial selves and apply the pass to the completion course, and pending completion of the semester, you will be an alumni Carthaginian.
Thought I'd see this day. Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Mark, are you able to say anything as the mentor of the project? I know that you're having some internet problems.
Likely story.
Okay, I think Mark maybe is having the internet problems. Anyway, once again, congratulations, Omar. Job well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so if this had been a normal time and a normal year, we'd be going out to dinner later, but hopefully in April, we'll be going out to dinner. It is a wonderful opportunity. We all of the graduates get a comp to dinner on Uncle Carthage, the probably the only thing you ever got for free from Carthage, except for the advice of your professors. Okay. Whoop. Puppy is driving me nuts. Anyway, thank you all. And we will, I hope to see everybody as you check in with me as you drive towards your final presentation in April. And with that, I'd like to say thank you once again, and we can sign off.
Bye.
Thanks, and congrats, Omar.
That's Omar.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See you around, Omar.
Bye.
Hopefully, that is.
Yep.